Hey guys, want to welcome you to Whiteboard Wednesdays, and today is 010, episode 010. That's right, we are 10 episodes in, hooray. But today I want to talk to you about QuickBooks and why it is detrimental to your construction business. So stay tuned. All right, so why is QuickBooks killing your business? No, seriously, why are they trying to kill your business? Don't they know that you have a business to run and you're actually trying to get things done? So anyway, let's talk about this today. I want to give you, this video is going to be just a little bit of a history lesson about QuickBooks and where it came from and what it's trying to evolve to, just to give some context. And we might actually have to split this video into two parts, just in case I go a little bit long, so just a little bit of warning there. I love history, so this is fascinating stuff to me, but I do want to get you up to speed, so at least you have some context on where QuickBooks is trying to go, and then you can kind of make some better decisions in your business about, whether you want to go along for that ride, for instance, right? Okay, so let's talk about where QuickBooks came from and whatever and things. So, QuickBooks essentially has been around for a really long time, and to be fair, it's a good piece of software. Accountants love it. It's a great piece of software. So, back in the 1980s, I think it's 83 to be honest with you, but that doesn't really matter. The bottom line is that in the 1980s, QuickBooks was essentially sort of like coming on board. And back then, we were dealing with sort of PCs, and a lot of you guys would remember this because, I remember it, so you must. I'm just making that assumption. But anyway, the point is that desktop PCs were around. Remember that thing, in the back? We have flash screens now, but there's a point in time where screens look like this with massive bezels, right? So anyway, the point is that the PC era was sort of around the birth in this particular period. Microsoft and Apple and the likes sort of came around roughly around the same era as well too. And then what happened was, this is sort of the birth of the personal computer, right? And businesses started to adopt software, right? And I know that you guys understand some of this stuff, but I want to give you some context for a conversation around QuickBooks here. So just bear with me for a bit. So businesses started adopting, PCs as their main piece of software, as BIC, right? And what happened is QuickBooks just came around roughly around the perfect time, right, when this transition was happening. And so they were essentially one of the the first people in this market or in the accounting space. And so you fast forward from 1980s all the way up to the 2000s, right? Basically, QuickBooks became the dominant player in this space. And for good reasons too. It was a great accounting software, it still is, and it has some good features. It's now pretty much the standard for any small business accounting thing. They control upwards of 60-70% of the market right now, depending on which stats you look at. But the point is that they are the dominant players in the space. And with this dominant sort of position that they hold, there's a couple things that sort of evolved. Number one is, they've been upgrading their software from time to time over years. Every single year you got a new version of QuickBooks and whatever. But the truth is that the software hasn't really evolved that much from a software perspective, right? And so when the 2000s hit, right, we get the birth of, not the birth, but essentially the true rising of the internet as what we know it as today, right? Broadband started taking into place, high-speed internet, stuff like that started coming about. So the internet became more of a ubiquitous or, accessible to everybody within the space. So internet, I-N-T-E-R-N-E-T, right? So the internet came about. And so what happened was, around this time, while the internet was sort of doing its thing and the iPhone and this and all this type of stuff, other accounting software started to take shape, right? So you get a couple of softwares, I'm going to throw out a couple of names here, like Xero, X-E-R-O, right? Great alternative accounting software. This is a New Zealand company actually, and they were doing some pretty innovative stuff, still are. And FreshBooks, I think they're out of Canada, FreshBooks. All right, F-R-E-S-H-S-H, FreshBooks. QuickBooks, right? Also start coming up, and there's a few others. There's quite a few. I could go on and on in this list. The point that I'm making here is that these accounting systems were cloud first, right? Because they were born in the internet era, right? So they were born in the internet era. They're cloud first technologies. And so the real question is, well, how does this affect QuickBooks? Well, QuickBooks was essentially the dominant player for a really long time. And then what happened is internet came around, and all of a sudden you got these guys are starting to steal, QuickBooks lunch, right? I mean, probably literally too, right? They're literally taking money out of QuickBooks pocket. So QuickBooks had to do something about this, right? They're not going to sit back and, be the dominant player for, 3 or 4 decades, and then all of a sudden, just lay back and whatever. And so obviously they brought out their new version of the system, QuickBooks Online, right? And Line, right? So they brought out their online version of the system. And with this, they had to make a choice, right? Now, they can't basically build all of the features that they've been doing for the last 30 years in the online system overnight. It's just not possible, right? There's time, testing, all this type of stuff. This system has been tried and true. So what they started doing is said, you know what? Why don't we start with a different audience? An audience that is mobile first, right? So people that basically have smartphones and can use their system to run their business, whether you're running a cake shop or a lawn mow service, whatever it is. You have the ability to send out invoices, collect payments, and all that type of stuff from your mobile phone. And that was sort of the choice that had to be made. And so you, as a construction business owner in this era, whether you started your business in this year or a little bit after in the 2000s, the point is that you were still fine because QuickBooks wasn't necessarily targeting you as a business. But what has happened in recent years is that QuickBooks is starting to make a shift where they're trying to get these guys that are in this era, they're trying to find the companies that are in this era and move them, right? Move them onto the online system. Okay, so that's what's been happening right now, and this is sort of like the challenge, and I'm sure you could relate to this. I just wanted to kind of give you sort of like that history lesson so you could kind of see where things are going with the company, right? And so overall, QuickBooks as a tool is going to be an online space. In a few decades or whatever, QuickBooks Desktop might not even be a thing, right? So the point is that with this transition comes some interesting challenges that you as a construction business owner have to start thinking about. You just have to. There's no question about it. And that's what we're going to talk about in the next video, because I'm rambling on a little bit. I'm giving you a little bit of history lesson here. But that's what we're going to talk in the next video is what are some of the challenges, but also what are some of the solutions, especially in particular what we're providing as SnapSuite to kind of help you kind of move things forward, right? So we'll start talking about that. Look for the next video and we'll continue this conversation. All right? So stay tuned. Thank you.